Hi again. Welcome back to the Spirit of Watercolor with Linda. I would like to welcome you to my channel if you haven't been here before. We are painting with watercolors. I hope to inspire people if they really are interested in this medium. It's a beautiful medium. Most vibrant, intense, gorgeous colors in watercolor these days are available. And we've been doing all kinds of learning of techniques, tips and tricks, themes, book inspirations, so please come and join me. I think we're having a lot of fun. I certainly am. And today I want to continue on with a couple things. First, we've been looking at a book called Color by Color where we are inspired by colors in our paintings, and I think that for a lot of people, at least for me, that really pulled me into watercolor, was the love of colors and to get the most vibrant, gorgeous colors. When you look at a painting and you're just in awe of the colors, sometimes you're in awe of the technique or the ability that the person can draw or do wet on wet too, but that was the recent inspiration that we did from Zoltan Zabel's book Color by Color. And then we also have worked on some of his technique books, and now I want to kind of continue on with the color theme because summer has been wonderful and it's passing. We're moving into autumn, but I realized this last week it was almost difficult for me to start to think about autumn colors. I think because we're not quite there yet. This is middle to late September. It's still summer. Summer's coming to a close. The trees are mature and green, losing leaves, but they're not completely changed. And other people that love fall, I totally understand and get it. But I'm a summer person mainly, and I love the greens, and I hate to see them go. In fact, with watercolor, I have purchased lots of greens, even though I was taught in my early traditional watercolor at Eastern Michigan that you mix your greens, and that's wonderful. But I also found that there's a plethora of green watercolors available that are gorgeous, and sometimes straight out of the tube or just a little color mixed in, and you've got just amazing, beautiful colors. But I want to do one that really focuses in on my favorite greens. I love green gold. These are Daniel Smith colors I have. Then Sap Green, deep Sap Green. And this is a book that's inspiring to me, and it always is, especially when I feel like I'm getting too tight. I like to stay loose with watercolors. That's just my style. It's what comes natural to me. If you're more detailed, I do have a book review on detailed watercolors. You can check that out, and Painting with Details. We've done some demos with that. I use that to help me to get back to details when I need to too. So books, for me are just, they're instructors. The authors of these books, the artists, they really inspire us and they teach us. So I'm big on that. You can buy books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, all the bookstores. They have books that you can order nowadays if you don't want to go to the store. And they have books at the store. And what I love about Nita Engle's book is How to Make a Watercolor Paint Itself book. I think she passed away a couple of years ago, but I knew about her a long time ago, and I finally got the book when my sister mentioned it. And she just really gets where she pours the paint and sprays it around, pushes it around. She has a plan underneath, and then she'll get in there and she'll paint splashing oceans, and and they're active pieces sometimes. But she can also get into real detail somehow, with her works as well. It's really hard to show pictures. You really, when I recommend these books, I advise or I recommend you, and I don't tell you to do this, but recommend that you either go to the library and find the books and look through them. You can take them out for 4 weeks very, very often and decide if you want to acquire them for your library. And again, I just show you one picture here. There's a boat, and it's in an active water here. This is all sprayed, but the boat, of course, has detail where she may have done some masking fluid so that you hold the details and whatnot, and then come in and splash in. So for today, though, I want to focus in on doing I think I'm going to do a half sheet, which is about 15 by 22 inches, and we'll do a nice loose wet on wet, you know, just summer greens of just a landscape painting that I hope will be enjoyable, and we can really look at what these greens do in the painting. And like I say, before I let go of summer, I really want to kind of embrace summer colors one more time. So I hope you're with me on this, and then we'll move toward the autumn season for our next inspiration. Okay, thanks for joining me. I will see you at the table. All right. Okay, so as I'm looking at Nita Engle's book, one of the things I keep being drawn to that I really like about her paintings is things like this. Okay, in this composition, the sky is over here, it's not up here just at the top, and I've kind of been doing a lot of landscape where, you know, it's a sky and then the rest of the painting, but I really like, you know, the fact that the trees are way up to the top in that, and in this one as well, they're way up here. And so that's what I'm kind of being inspired by, is some of these, is the composition shows that you're taking it from a straight angle view straight into the painting. It's cutting off, you know, above the trees. And so I do want to do a green painting, lots of greens, but I want to be inspired. Here again, the trees are all the way up, so that's what I'm going to do. And it's pretty sharp. Okay. And so we're going to do a drawing inspired by Nita Engle and other unique and beautiful things here. Now, just doing some lovely tree shapes here, and then up in the tops, I want, you know, I want this to kind of go around the water here. There's just so many ways to do a composition, but you want to be excited and love it, and be compelled to go further with it. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is just sort of, you know, over here some lovely grassy type areas down and around in here. Okay, kind of coming up and around and down in there. I want some trees up in here now. We're going kind of into the background back there, and we're going to just have some land kind of coming up over here, and we're going to do greens. I actually thought of some of my iridescent colors to add into this as well. Maybe some very nice. Now these are just kind of deciding where my trees are going. Okay. Yeah, I have a beautiful iridescent topaz that I think would be lovely in here as well. Just kind of figuring out where my trunks are going to be here, okay? And we'll either, yeah, we may come in with some dark colors to create our trunks. The pencil is all totally erasable, so if I have pencil lines up here that I want to take out of the outside edge, you know, again, it's, if you want that clean edge to be clean and nice after, you can certainly do that. Okay, so now I'm just going to start in with some light wet washes of sponging. I've got my sponge here, and the paper's quite wet, and I want to bring in some of the greens. Let me get my palette here. We'll I squirt everything, don't I? We've got the green gold up there, sap green. Let's see, here's my spray gun working. I've got deep sap green. I've got, it's either Viridian or forest green. There's some nice greens. Some of my green has actually been mixed down here in the darks, in the burnt sienna kind of color, which is actually deep gold, Quinacridone Deep Gold. But I may use that as some of my darks in the trees and in the grounds down here. But yeah, so we're gonna get real wet on wet here. Again, my sponges are going in my, I I have this, these sea sponges like this, like this. I have some other sponges that are nice to use as well for painting like this. Oops, squirting too much. And then we've got this kind here. I think most of mine are the sea sponges, but they're different. You know, the holes are different in each one, so you kind of look at those and you say, you know, which one do I like, or which ones do I like to do my trees up there. So I've got to get some greens on my palette real quick here. And there's a little problem because my brushes from going to watercolor group the other day in my bag, so out they come. We've got all these wonderful brushes, and I'm going to put them here, so I'm going to move that, okay, and get them where they should be. And then we've got our big flat brush, okay, to bring our paints out on the palette. Or we could use any brush that you like to bring out. This is a stiff brush. I can get a lot of color out with this. Here's this beautiful sap green. Just a beautiful color. Then we've got deep sap there, and we've got green gold there. Let's see what deep sap will do. Let's see. See how much darker it is? It's still a kind of sap green. Daniel Smith has so many colors. They're just wonderful. I want to see what's going on down here. If I mix that deep sap with the brown and the deep gold and the deep green here, it's kind of a dark, almost a black, brown black. That could be very lovely too. Our greens are going to be light greens and dark greens all in here. Usually with watercolor you do work light to dark, especially because if I put a bunch of dark green out on my paper, if I want to put light over top of it, you may not see it. So that's why I'm thinking about doing that. Okay, so we're going to just take first of all, a very wet sponge, squeeze it out, and I'm going to start to work some wet on wets with my green gold here, okay? And this is a very loose painting, like I said. It's just we have some compositional ideas going on here, okay? And now this is on wet paper, so you're going to probably see some spreading going on as well. If you want it wetter than this, that actually doesn't look super wet, but the way you can get it wetter is to bring in some more water. And again, Nita Engle, she sprays stuff. Well, let's see what happens if I spray that a little bit. It's really wet now, so what happens if I bring in a little more color? And I'm going to bring in some down here now too. Now again, I'm just using some of my favorite colors right now, and I want to put some down in here. We've got land down in here, right? So we can bring in some of this as texture and down in here as well. Okay. And of course there's some trees there, so I may have some of the reflection of those over here, okay? And then I could bring a nice soft wash of water in if I want to. Isn't this fun and beautiful, right? Okay, a little reflection there. I'm gonna try to do some little bit of well, I was thinking about those flowers, but we'll see. We'll see where it's going. I'm going to let this painting kind of lead me along. I think that might be more exciting, more fun. Okay, and a little bit more of that wet trees now here. Now we're continuing on. I let it dry because sometimes you need to let some of these colors set up and dry, okay? And then we want to come back in and create a little more of this wonderful green going on here. I'm going back into my palette, trying to mop up all the green I had out. And then we'll press more of that into our trees here, yes? Okay. Now you see the harder edged, because it's drier, you're going to get a little different texture going on. I had sprayed that and wet it before, and I liked that very much. But now I want to kind of come in with a little more. I may wet it a little bit, but I'm going to try to maintain a lot of this kind of as my detail, right? Okay. And, you know, we can always go back in. I like to go around the board. And we like to, you know, go around and make decisions. Now, this is, again, a spontaneous piece, so we're not completely planned, because I sometimes find it's, first of all, fun, and second of all, it's very nice to let the paint itself, as it says in our description. I'm going to leave this a little bit softer here and there, so I want to wet that a little bit. Have my nice cotton. I use this as sort of my wetting brush because it's so soft, and just kind of come in here a little bit. You know, we had some things going on here in the middle ground. Of course, we have some pretty things going on up here, and I might do in the background a little bit of like trees or bushes too. And then we'll do the trunks here of some of these trees. Yes, and then when I do my trees, I'm going to start, you know, with the softer colors, and then the trunks I'm talking about and branches. I'm going to come in, and then I can always go back over them with the darks. But if I'm sticking with traditional watercolor, I'm thinking about lightest to dark. So I like to hold my palette, even though it's not your traditional oil kind of palette, right? So if I had these lovely golds coming in to create some branches and so forth to start with. Just some pencil line, not, you know, totally defined there, just to tell me where I want them at. And then I come in with my rounded pointed brush here. I did decide to take a nice beautiful blue, intense on my flat brush here, and start to bring this in and let that flow. It's wet on wet here. There may be some green in there because there's also this green reflecting into the water, right, from the trees. But I want it to kind of roll down, soften down here. And I don't want it to come completely through all of the water. I want some white here because of the light hitting this, I want to see white in the water. So So I really want that soft when it's coming down and maybe coming into these tree reflections a little bit, softening in there. Okay. I don't really want, I don't know if I want it further up than that or not. I might go up there as well. But I just like how it's kind of flowing down into the, yeah. I wanted to mention, it's kind of fun. I'm not sure which one I like better, but I wanted to put some of the reflection of the trees into the water, I just realized. And we can bring back more blue, we can bring back in more detail, or let it go soft, like that was wetter on that side than this side. Actually, this got so wet, I think I might have to come back in. Yeah, I realized that really wet while I was sitting here thinking about videotaping this part. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, bring that back to white while it's wet. And then, since that got really wet, I guess we're gonna, now that it's dried a little, we'll bring in a little bit more of the tree with the, I think I've got a little bit of yellow ochre mixed in there too. But just to kind of create a bit of reflection. It's pretty wet, so it should come in and kind of, because it's wet, it should move a little, but hopefully I won't lose the lines there, just so it's kind of looking like it's in the water. See that? I probably should have made this one bend a little bit this way more, because that's the way the tree is kind of going. Yeah, okay. So again, these paints, when they're wet, you can lift out what you don't want. Just like when we did lifting clouds. You remember that video? Yeah, so I can kind of, yeah, look at that. Now it's kind of going the way that tree is, right? It's really gotten wet, so it's really moving here. And again, I can, with these non-staining color, well, you know, I don't think these Quins are that staining. I'll have to check that, because, you know, the staining blues, boy, when they're on there, but the quinacridone colors and the yellows I know lift, but quinacridone's, I'm not sure. So that may hopefully hold. It may be too wet and I'll have to come back in again. This one I really like how it just kind of got, you can see the definition there, but it's really soft. Let's see how that one dries. Yay! Okay. You may see quite a jump in value, because I realized how soft and light that still was. So I had to really wet the paper and really get the dark greens going. So I mixed a lot of like Payne's gray in with the sap greens and a little bit of that deep gold in there. And I really pressed in some darker. So we've got the lighter values now, and then we've got the darker. So I'm going to let that dry. I need to go back into these trees. Still trying to decide if I want flowers in here. I do like this white here. I need to have some kind of land in here. I think I need one more, at least one more value of green up there, or yellow. Just some more sunlight in there to get those trees a little more defined. And I'm kind of liking what I'm getting. I see these reflections here of the trees in the water. I realized I took this photo with my camera out in that park that I live near, and this is what I was talking about. There were some beautiful little flowers all along in the land there, or in the grasses. So there's these sort of yellow ones that almost look like black-eyed Susans, and then there's some small little lavender flowers that are very just soft and pretty. And then there's some tall Queen Anne's lace in there too. I'm just looking at those colors, and they're just so pretty in the green. So let's see about putting some of that into that middle ground of our painting, and then we're going to finish her up and talk about it. Okay. I had to add some whites up there, just thought that would be nice. So I took a sponge again on wet paper again, white on my fingers, and I've added some lavender here where I'm going to have some flowers down here. I want a little bit of the yellow flowers too. Again, this is very loose. Still kind of working on my lake effect here. Thinking that my land is kind of going downward, which could happen, but I might want to even that out. I'm just thinking, but we're almost there, and then we'll go to the finished piece. I've got this beautiful lemon yellow here. I had to get it off the other palette because it was kind of, my other palette needs to be cleaned. It's getting a little too full of colors that I could accidentally mix in. So here's our lemon yellow. Okay, trying to get as much as that on the palette. I'm just kind of really going at it with the sponge here. I think that I'm really liking the textures that I'm getting here, and then we'll have the smooth wash here. And again, I have not quite decided on the sky yet. I put in a few little branches with a very tiny, like 0 or 1, size 1 or 0 brush, just bringing in a little bit of beginning some branches so you can see that. I don't know that you need to see the detail of all of that. I always look at the sponge and decide, okay, where, do I want, I can get the little circles of flowers that I want here. And I'm going to bring some of those in above and around the lavender flowers. I believe in nature I saw that it looked like the lavender was above the yellow, but I kind of opted to do this way, where the yellow flowers are more or less above the lavender ones here. And it's kind of filling up this area very nicely. Let's grab some more. And bring in some really pretty flowers so that we know it's summertime and the flowers are in full bloom out, the wildflowers out in this beautiful park out here. And let's see, that is a very pale yellow. This lemon yellow by Dana Smith. There we go. Just trying to get them as defined as I can, being they're so very light. It's highly concentrated, but they're still very soft in there. I think I'm getting to a really nice finish point. I'm putting in little trees with this pointed round, just dab, dab, dab into a slightly wet here. Kind of liking that, because that background it just wasn't green enough, and I was wanting more green. Okay, so let's just keep going with that. Can you see that I'm there without my head in there? Let's see. I'm trying to get that so we can zoom in on that. Okay. I know I can knock my camera over very quickly and sometimes very frustrating. So as they're coming across here, you see, it's even getting a little drier brush, so I'll dampen my brush a little bit and come back in with sort of sap green and sort of green gold and sap green mixed nicely here. Right? We'll come all the way across since it's kind of making sense to do that. And I'm still debating. I may wait on that sky for this to dry and we'll talk about it. But we're pretty much, I'm going to say, we're just about finished with this, I think, although tomorrow I'll put in any finishing touches on it. So this is a really green painting, right? It's very summer, and I did enjoy it. I think, I may add more to it. I may redo it. You know, it again was a spontaneous piece. And I'm still deciding on the water here and the sky and stuff. So we'll call it finished for now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It got long because there's a lot to do. Just finished it. Put in some green in here. And I really enjoyed doing this painting of green. I hope that you did. If you like this, please let me know. Any suggestions or comments, I really appreciate them. But this was a way to end summer, and today was actually the first day of autumn. I'd like us to next go, for our next video, to talk about spattering paint to make a painting. We take Nita Engle again, and I'll talk about her book a little more, and we'll try some spattering and spraying and making possibly a landscape or a water scene. So please join me. I'm so excited to kind of get these techniques from these instructors from these books. So keep on coming, keep on painting, and keep the spirit of watercolor.